UnGilded, episode 6. So, this is where Karma comes back to get George and Bertha. They have went behind their daughter. In episode 5, I don't understand why they had to do all that stuff to get rid of Archibald when they could have got rid of Archibald without being cruel to everybody, having the big dinner and blah, blah, blah. But right as the dinner is ending, he finds out what he's been talking about, what he know could happen one day. He finds out that he's in the middle of a plane crash, train crash.
20th century
slap. Yep. He's in the middle of a train crash drama, right in the middle, and he's so worried about what he's gonna look like, and he didn't cause it. He swears that everything is good, but karma came back to bite him.
Bertha
right at
should
the
be in
beginning.
mourning because of the train crash. Why is she even entertaining? But to his rescue, she did already collab with Red Cross lady. Why can't I think of her name?
Yeah, I mean, as far as publicity is concerned, and all of that, yes, they have somebody who went out and they showed up the next day and took pictures and took responsibility, and they said he was grief stricken and all that stuff. He got a good quote. Company's not.
But I mean, because like he said, he really was grief stricken. I mean, not for the press in the image. I'm saying to actually help though. He was worried about this happening for the company and how it would look, but he was worried about it happening because people might get hurt and killed. So I meant it was lucky that the Red Cross, they already had that connection.
Yeah, it was twofold too. And giving her all that money at that site, it was a double meaning.
Of
too.
course.
They don't ever do anything. They're
No.
not altruistic people.
Of course not.
Something has to be in it
No,
for you as
my
well.
wife is going to be at that meeting.
But to your point, I didn't like, again, after the show, Julian Fellows said, well, but, in one way she's tough, but in another way, just sitting around crying. George wasn't sitting around crying.
No, he wasn't.
He was actually sympathetic and concerned about these people being killed.
Yes.
And she didn't care.
No, not at all.
That's not, he acts like she took action.
Right.
And he didn't. She didn't take any action either.
No.
She didn't do anything. All she did was she has social
Changed her
intelligence
clothes.
because she had sense enough not to wear a ball gown
Exactly.
to a crash site. I mean, that's not social intelligence. You have to be completely unintelligent to not do otherwise.
Let's look at the crash site for just a moment. A little historical, tidbits and things in the background. So they showed, first of all, the wreckage, the fact that all of this wood is everywhere.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Lord have mercy. Yes, the train cars are made out of wood. That looked odd. Then the fact that these people were carrying things rubble down in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
And then I saw, what's that woman's name? Barton. Clara Barton's gals was over there in corsets and bustles, the nurses.
Over in the tents, yeah.
Carrying a stretcher by hand. We say stretcher, but it's a gurney. This was a stretcher.
Yeah.
I said, oh, they had to do all this
Everything
cleanup,
was manual labor. Yep, all of it.
Even
All
even
of
the what you call it, surveyors and stuff.
Yep.
You see that person with that mega yardstick thing.
Carrying their
I
stuff
said,
around.
oh my goodness, you got to walk and measure. Walk and measure.
Yep. Totally different time.
Like you said, it was tough for everybody. It was easier for some and more luxurious for others, but it was hard for everybody.
Life was not that easy. And speaking of Sarah Barton, so this is when Peggy and accompanies Marion to Aurora's house where they're going to vote. This is the meeting that Bertha's supposed to show up at, and Agnes thought, why is she going to a meeting? She should be in mourning because of the train crash. But at that meeting, not only did Bertha come in her great big red and black outfit with feathers up to the the black feathers and berries, the feathers, those were 2 full body birds. The beaks of the birds met in the front of that hat, and the
Uh,
whole bird body was on there, and then those feathers went up. That is so disgusting. That
and
is
I
what
never.
is
Okay,
on
let me
her
look at
head.
it. If
Yeah.
y'all don't know, we be watching the episode while we talk about
Yeah,
it. So when
those-
we're
look at
looking
the
over
beaks.
to the side,
Yeah. Those
oh,
are
I see the
birds.
2 tail feathers.
Their eyes are in. She is wearing this
Ew!
on her
Oh, I
head.
see it.
The
Oh,
whole
it's a
body,
taxidermy
2
hat.
whole birds.
Well,
are on
same
her
with the
head.
stoves. 40 years later, you got the whole fox.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Around
I'm just, yeah, whatever.
I'm just saying, that's their MO. They like that whole animal thing. But yeah, that was so freaking funny. The fact that Peggy was back there serving all that face in the middle of this meeting. Like we said, this is not important at all.
This
She is taking in
entertaining
all the
to
drama
her.
and laughing at
Yeah.
it.
When
Oh,
she
she's
write-
mocking
when
it.
she writes her book, she'll have something to add that other people don't know
But
about.
yep, Bertha got in. Mrs. Morris is gone. And we predicted, I don't think we're going to see her anymore.
Yeah, we said she wasn't going to be
That
a
poor lady
continuing
is-
character.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's it.
She made a little scene at the Red Cross, and she didn't want Bertha to get in, and told everybody off. And then as she walked past Peggy, she had to do her little harumph to them having a Negro in the room. She had to add that little exclamation point.
She in your house, Aurora?
It's bad enough she was on the.
So Bertha got in, as they said. She won the battle, maybe, but not the roar. You don't know, Marion. You don't understand none of this stuff, but fine. And then got that advice from Aurora at the end. Look, all these meticulous little plans and stuff. So now you're excited because this man done invited himself to your house.
He's letting me know that he's curious
Right.
about your pal. They don't ever say anything.
No,
Just say anything.
That's why I said you're very good at direct quotes, and I'm very good. I just say it in the modern way. That's what she meant. And Bertha's reaction was, "He wants me to entertain him in my own. He wants me to spend money and food and time and planning on him in my own
And not
house.
only does
I
he
am
want me to do
thrilled."
it, then Aurora proceeds to tell her what the rules
Right,
of the game are.
and this is how it needs to be done.
Right, and don't mess up or you'll never hear from this fool again.
So their obsession with English, you notice it wasn't British back then. It was still English back then.
Yeah.
Culture and ways of doing things. Why did you leave? You're not really American. Just why did you come colonize? Go back over to England and do everything the
Everything
English
is so
way.
great.
Right. So whatever. So church is fronting. He knew good and dang on well that he did not know what to do. There's no internet. There's no magazine, I don't think, that's out that he could just. Where was he gonna find that out?
And Bertha knew too because Bertha asked him twice, "Church, do you
all
got
right?
any problems with this?" Well, why shouldn't I be okay? Everything's okay. I know what I'm. No, you don't. You done told everybody in the kitchen, including the housekeeper, Miss Bruce, who puts the idea in Bertha's head that you need to maybe talk to the English butler across
Bo
the street.
Dan was looking at church like,
Man, you okay?
No, you don't.
You just told us you were confused about why the table settings were so different.
had no idea.
But it's not only that you're having this extravagant lunch at your house and you think you're supposed to be buying extravagant gifts for everybody at the table.
favors.
But you also are going to spend an exorbitant amount of money, equivalent to like $1,200 to get this man,
It was like $1,500.
it was $100, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
It was
close to $3,000.
$2,800.
Yeah, it was close to $3,000.
In today's money, you're giving somebody $3,000 on
Yep.
top of it
Yep.
to pretend that you're our English butler.
Yeah. So we can see the table setting. I think there was caviar on the side, and one of them ornate
Who knows?
looked like
There was so much
caviar
junk in that
and
room.
salt and something. I don't know what goes with
Right.
fish eggs, except vodka. Shout out Mind Your Manners. This woman had some kind of flowers that apparently were not in season.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
lilacs
Right.
and whatever else he said.
Right.
The fact that McAllister knows that, though,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that this mess is out of season.
Yeah.
And that's a good question, though. So they didn't have refrigerated units. How would she have gotten them?
Whatever, I assume that there's some place that rich people went to get things that other people couldn't get. I have
Her
absolutely
husband's personal
no
train
idea.
car. It went to
Who
down.
knows?
Say it went to South Carolina
Who knows?
to get the lilacs and the hyacinths. So
Yeah.
then you done bought people bejeweled fans.
Yeah,
Marion gets her wish.
yeah.
And these like cigar
No,
cases
no,
or cigarette
they're
cases.
cigarette cases.
Yeah, for the men.
Jeweled, gold,
Enamel.
and encrusted with McAllister's.
Only his had
sapphires
jewels.
on.
Yep, he was the only man who had jewels on his.
Talking about, is this too much?
Nope.
Like, you done laid out the red carpet.
Not for me. It ain't too
my
much for me,
Gracious.
boo.
Is it too much?
And they were having a jolly good time too
Yep.
when Agnes came in.
Yep.
Everybody was
Laughing
thoroughly
and
enjoying
talking.
themselves.
Yep, they were having a good time.
Mhm.
George was playing his role,
Always.
co-signing everything Bertha
Always.
said.
So not,
Anytime anybody said any compliment whatsoever, he seconded.
so remember we said in that other episode, I don't remember the number, but when we said when Morse's came over for dinner,
Right.
and that was that one time that she was gracious with her slight and wasn't obvious with the right back at it again. So Agnes done lost it. She done went y'all saw that aerial shot. They wanted to let you know she was not even concerned with the horse poop in the street. She just trailing along in all that dirt, not thinking, didn't hear Ada. Poor Ada.
Yeah.
She like, sit down. Can I have something else to eat?
No, can I have some wine? Keep your gloves on.
So you know what's happening, what you're walking into. Like you said, she walked in, didn't see nobody else, just scolding Bannister. What were you going to do? Were you going to drag him out? Were you going to order that he come back? What
Again,
were you going to do?
She didn't have a plan.
You didn't think out none of that
She
stuff.
didn't have a plan.
But
at
back to
all.
Bertha. So they tried to do their little save. Another example of Marion just naturally falling into the lies. You couldn't lie at the Scott house, but
Marion
now
and Aurora, they were clumsy and silly, but it was the time it took and the pause.
too long.
Awful.
It took too long. They said too much. But back to Bertha. So Agnes recovered and remembered herself. So we're gonna play along like, yes, I didn't know what time it was. No, Agnes did not say something after that. You still gonna talk?
You talking about Bertha?
I mean, yes, Bertha.
Bertha. Yes.
Bertha gonna talk shit after that.
So nice of you to job. I know how busy you are. Shut up.
And where her husband at. Maybe next time you can join.
Well,
Both of y'all be quiet.
Well,
Just be
well,
quiet,
stop it.
Bertha.
Stop it.
This is not how you win people. You done stole this woman's. And they told us in the talk back. We got it. How
Yeah,
egregious
this is
that was.
A horrible thing. This is the family butler.
You don't mess with people's help. And then you gonna talk trash on top of that.
Yeah.
After you done got caught.
Yeah, you got saved. You
Caught,
got
saved, and talking
then you
trash.
talk. You got saved. You need to just be quiet. She can't be quiet.
And what did McAllister say?
Right.
I'm gonna come back all the time if everything's this festive.
Obviously, nobody fell for it. Everybody could see what
Except
was going
Mr.
on.
Fane.
Well, Mr. Fane, Charles don't never see nothing. Charles just knows that the food is good. That's all Charles cares about.
Agnes said, yes, I remember him. I don't like you. You know I don't like you.
But
Everybody in this
rakes.
room know I don't like you.
Right. Yes, how could I forget him? So let's talk a little bit about Peggy in this episode. So they've done things like what happened in the store when they went to Bloomingdale's when the people didn't want her in the store, and Marion bringing shoes to her house. They've done things in that racism, but they really don't focus a lot on day to day things. I mean, we know black people live in Brooklyn, and we've seen people like when Peggy and her father are on the sidewalk, looking at them like y'all need to get out the way.
Right, they had to move out the way.
Right, that's why her mother said in Brooklyn that ain't gonna happen. She
Right.
needs to come. But in this episode, they kind of sprinkle it about. So we know that Miss Morris already, she don't like nobody. She certainly don't
Right.
like nobody black. So she
Right.
did her little harumph at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Marion held a cab, and the cab driver said he would take her and wouldn't take Peggy, she was so outraged. And Peggy was like, you know what? Yeah, it is rude or whatever, but I got to get places.
Right.
This
It's
happens
life.
all the time.
Right, it's life.
This is not an anomaly.
Mhm.
This happens all the time. So that was another little tick. And then you still got Armstrong in the background trying to make trouble. Just constantly trying to make trouble. So first, Peggy did not ask Armstrong if she wanted anything. She asked Miss Bauer if she wanted anything.
She actually bypassed Armstrong to ask Bauer in another room.
She was not talking to her at all. And Bauer said she's offering to do something for us. She's trying to just show that I'm just old and I just, don't be projecting. You old and you feel useless.
I'm going to say, that's what I told you.
Right.
I said, that's what she thinks about herself.
Because she's always saying it.
Yep.
Always saying
You
it.
scared.
You want somebody
to lose your
feel sorry
job.
for.
Mm-hmm.
So, first, Bauer asked her, what is wrong with you? And rolls her eyes at her little lame explanation. Then she goes to Bannister.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you worried about her scribbling? Aren't you worried about the reputation? Ain't nobody worried about this. So she is trying mightily, working behind the scenes, trying to get this child and somebody. She should be able to see already. Nobody dislikes Peggy.
They don't care.
You are the one who dislikes Peggy. Oh my
her
goodness.
scribblings.
Yeah, that's gonna ruin the reputation of the household.
Sidebar, this just popped in my head. This is an example also of me being one of the people who does not want a seat at the table. You know, that generation of black people who thought, actually kind of Booker T. Washington-ish, those people who thought if we are well presented and kept and well mannered and nonviolent and well educated and well spoken, eventually the powers that be, the people in control, they're going to have to let us in and see, yes, they're capable like us. They're civil, they're intelligent, just like us. And this whole, all of the staff being happy for Peggy, that she got the answer back, and then you got the job, and then the article is a big deal. That's something to celebrate, and it doesn't matter what she does or how she presents herself. In Armstrong's racist eyes, it's going to always be a negative. People need to, I'm saying Peggy's not trying to appease her. I'm just saying it could be a metaphor, an example of that, just through Armstrong. That's what I'm saying. When somebody thinks you are less than human, you're not going to convince them otherwise through your deeds and accomplishments.
I was going to say whole towns were burned down because people were accomplished and were doing well and were, that doesn't get you any points.
No. So one thing with Peggy, when Marion talks to Peggy about rakes, you can tell that Peggy is, at first it seemed like she's trying to mind her business and just be neutral. Like, you're grown, I'm staying out of it. I'm happy if you're happy, whatever. Trying to guide her. But then it was you don't like him, you don't want to marry him. She's trying not to get too involved, but kind of nudge Marion into the realm of self-realization. When they ran into Larry on the street, after they got, number one, Marion again did not pick up that Larry wanted to talk to her in private.
No.
He just met Peggy. He didn't want to say that he wanted to be an architect in front of her. Peggy saw it. Peggy walked over to the flower cart.
Right. Marion never sees any subtleties.
No, so that's astute, number one. Then Peggy, I don't know if she could eavesdrop or not, but just probably watching body language and stuff. And again, how Larry treated her.
Right.
We talked about how Mr. Rakes and Bannister treated Peggy. She said, Well, he seems nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is nice. No, that's not what she meant, boo. That was another little nut. Like, hey, why don't you look at him?
She said Rakes is handsome. He's been nice to me. He's a good look, but he does not seem to have a plan. And that was a nice way of saying y'all
he's not serious about you. That's what that meant.
Y'all haven't talked about really anything of any significance.
So Peggy's astute in worldliness, number 3. Remember we were saying we didn't understand why Mrs. Scott was talking to Marion so much about Peggy's life and her wishes.
Particularly, not just that she doesn't know her, but the only brief encounter they had was not a pleasant thing. Too.
Well, we said all the reasons why. All the reasons why it didn't make sense. That she was talking to her about their business. And you were saying how... And like Peggy said, Marion kept talking to her about it afterwards, after she talked to Mama Scott. Like, that was not an invitation. Peggy told you no. She went and checked her mother. She said, look, don't be coming on 61st Street talking about family business.
And again, how does Peggy know this and her mother don't know?
Right.
I don't even understand that.
But wait. Blind spot. Remember, she said, so Peggy can see her stuff with her mother. She can see the stuff with Marion and her choice in men. She can see all this stuff, all, the obvious racism, people judging her that Marion cannot see that's happening. But what did she ask her mother about the article? So her mother congratulated her. Well, you can stay long enough for me to congratulate you on your story. And she got first thing out of Peggy's mouth.
Yep.
Did father read it?
Yep, because she's so obsessed with what her father thinks.
What you even ask for?
Right.
What you even ask for?
Yep, he read it.
He didn't like it? Well, no. He's the same thing.
Right.
The same answer.
Nothing changed because you got an article. He can say that you should have done the Globe first. He can say, why didn't you do the color people? It doesn't make any difference what you do. Same thing.
Kind of like Armstrong.
Just like what we just got finished talking about.
Yes.
Exactly. Once somebody is set have their blinders on, that's what he thinks. You're wasting your time doing this, and he doesn't care how well it goes. He wasn't encouraging you. Nope. If the first time you go out, if the first interview you have doesn't work out, you can always come home and work for me. That's not a solution that I want, Father.
No.
But yeah, she and her mother also, this is the first time that Mrs. Scott says, well, can we see each other without him? Because now she's starting to miss her daughter, and it's like, okay, if I can't get you and this food to get together, I got to see you. Yeah. This is not working for me.
I remember when she said, we must get through it. We're a family, and we must get through it. Yeah. What does that mean?
And she said it until you, whatever she said.
Right.
As if you got to apologize to your father and come on home and just, But again, she did not know at that time that. So back to busy, messy Miss Marion, who always likes a little bit of drama.
Drama queen.
So first of all, Aurora almost has a fit when she says that, number one, she's going to see Chamberlain about raising money for Barton. And number two, she's still going to do it after Bertha gave all that money. Yep, I'm still going.
Yep, she said, wait, though. We got enough for 3.
No. We need it all.
We always need money.
Don't you know what the rule is here? Aurora, really. So she goes to Chamberlain's house, and Chamberlain, they're smart to send you, what to... And Chamberlain admits that, the story, the gossip about her is the true gossip.
It's true, girl. The tea is true.
And then Marion almost seems like that was her opportunity to just start I'm about to break the rules too, and just spilled all her guts about Rakes. Even Chamberlain, who does not like Van Ryn and none of them people, even Chamberlain said, she said, what do they know? What do my aunts know about? She said, your aunts know a great deal. They know how all this stuff works here. And what you talking about, boo, don't make no sense. Well, look, let's do this. I'll let you come over here. You don't get a chance to talk here, okay? Come over to my house for lunch, and y'all can talk. And Marion just, okay. It's easy for her. She don't care.
Child. And that's another point. You said Chamberlain who don't like the Van Ryns, also Chamberlain who behaves in risky business and follows her heart and believes in romance and all this other stuff. She said, you don't know this boy.
Yeah,
she said, in other words, you don't hardly know him.
You don't know him and your aunts are against him. That's the two things I got out of this. That's it.
Like we said, what you fighting so hard?
Yep.
How do I know if it is a great love? You would have known by now.
When she screamed at Agnes, you don't know him. I just knew Agnes was going to scream back, you don't either. That's what I thought she was going to say.
You don't know him. You don't know if it's a great love. You don't know what plan he got.
Like you said, if you don't know if it's a great love, it's not a great love.
Just leave it alone.
Nothing to. Yeah, she was doubtful the whole time through. But, yep, she's going to have her little meetings. So.
Wait, though. Did she get money? Did she write a check? I don't know if we found out. Did Chamberlain?
I don't know if Chamberlain donated anything or not.
I don't think she.
That was just a ruse for us to get into the house and for them to make that little plan.
They said she was very generous. Yeah. And she said, "Oh, they was smart to send you." Yeah. But did you give her money?
Yeah, that doesn't mean she got anything. She probably gave a little something just because it was Marion. Because she doesn't have friends. And Marion, this little young lady.
I want to keep her coming back.
Is the only person who comes to her house to look at all that artwork she has in there.
So all these people, with all their schemes and plans and stuff, namely Bertha. Bertha Russell, remember very early on in the season when everybody in the house kept talking about how, everybody outside the house too kept talking about how this poor girl is a woman and should be out by now. Yeah. And she said out her mouth, I'm not going to have a ball until I know I can feel the ballroom. Yeah. She said that. Yeah. So you know that she's using her daughter as a social pawn. Right. First of all. Right. Little did we know. So Larry said that they've been invited to Mrs. Fish's doll's tea party. Yes. With her crazy self and her thing. Y'all think I throw crazy themed parties. Yeah, I don't do this.
No, she's over the top.
Her mama not gonna let her go to a doll's tea party?
That's what her brother said. He said it's not a ball, it's a tea party.
What the heck?
Why, the question is, why was his college graduated but invited to a doll's tea party?
So after he dropped some names, namely Little Asta, then even that. Did you notice Bertha was acting like she wasn't pressed? Right. Everybody knows you care.
Everybody at the table was looking at each other, waiting for your reaction to the name Astor.
Well, very well. Woman.
Whenever you all are against me, I can... Stop it. Yeah, you don't care who's against you.
You was pressed, and Larry knew it, and everybody else did too.
He pushed that button, and everybody at the table knows he pushed it.
So he got his little sister some freedom.
Yeah.
You said Larry should have been invited. Right. They opened up to the tea party. It's an elderly couple walking out.
I'm like, why are y'all here? This crazy
70-year-old man and woman at but it's your daughter's birthday. It's your daughter's party. Right. And it's
and the only kids I saw were screaming and running through the hallway. I didn't see the daughter was sitting at the table by herself with a weird smile on her face, feeding her doll.
She looked like she hated her mother and she knew that she had to smile. That's what it looked. She was smizing at her mother. So anyway, speaking of her looking unhappy, poor little Asta's in tears.
Yeah. So her mother is trying to run her life.
Dressed up like a cupcake.
Oh my goodness.
She had
frothy.
She had her doll sitting over there in a little high chair, propped up with pillows.
Okay, princess doll.
She said, "I am following directions there," and she has enough to eat. It was all laid out there. Let me cry into my teacup. Larry, Larry's so sweet. He said, "Oh, here we go." Ooh. A bad time, perhaps. Right. His little silken voice just came oozing out, all sweet. It wrapped around little Asta. She said, "Oh no, of course, it's fine. Sit." What? And y'all obeyed. This child is sobbing, and are y'all all just commenced with the pleasantries and the chit chat and small talk?
No, Gladys was very gracious.
Oh, she
Can
was.
I get you some tea? Can I get you something to eat? Would you prefer to be alone? I mean, she
Well,
was,
those are the
you
pleasantries
know.
I mean, I think today if somebody said, "Oh no, I'm okay," I think I would have then said, "Carrie, what's wrong? What's going on?" I think we would have just bypassed it. That's all I
She
mean.
doesn't know her, and
That's not what they do.
that is not the kind of
No,
culture
no, no.
they
I mean
have.
Larry. That's what I'm saying. But they didn't do
No,
that. The next thing
no.
Larry said was, "There go my boy. I introduced you. You got this, little
Yep, yep.
sis."
Take care of it.
And
Take
she
care of it.
did.
Yep,
And she
did.
took. That's the funny thing, though. They knew that dropping that name was gonna get Gladys to go her freedom.
Right.
But then Larry and Gladys played their part when they got there. Though.
Yep, yep. He ain't trying.
They
to,
knew that was the assignment,
right.
and they needed to meet this woman, and
Yep.
that's what they did.
Yep. He's talking about everybody has to march to his father's rules. They all delusional. They marching to their mama's rules right now.
From jump, right now, from jump.
Yeah.
He said, "Daddy said come work for me," but even she was the one who brought that
right.
up.
When is he gonna
So
start?
he was chilling. He's like,
Yeah.
"My boy's up in Newport." I hadn't really thought about it. I guess right away. Yes, she is controlling everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And Armstrong is trying to control. So Armstrong messing with Peggy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Messing with Jack too. Everybody pepping Jack up, trying to calm him down. You negative Nancy over there in his ear. What if your hands shake? Yes, it was bad writing with the comedy and all that, but the point was,
right. You
shut
can't
up.
say anything encouraging or positive.
Just say nothing at all.
Right.
Why are you there?
Right.
You don't need to be there.
And when they were watching them go out, you were still going on about your business. You didn't care what happened. You had put in your little hateful word, and that was enough for you.
So this hateful woman gonna drip poison into, you see your mistress is upset, and that's how she did it too.
Yep,
the way we
she
said
waited.
the Russells was cruel about Archie Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want me to get you some warm milk to calm you down? Is there anything? Well, I know all these betrayals. Why do you believe her? Why do you believe what this woman says?
With no, and when your son denies it vehemently, this is a grown man.
Right.
You found out. You found out. No, this is
like
not
that.
what's going on.
And once, like you just said, this is not their society. I understand Oscar, especially Oscar being Oscar, would not be friends with a lady's maid. You don't believe that lie. It's something though. It's Oscar doing something. He said it's not an affair.
To me, with Agnes being so conniving and being so suspicious of everything, why would you not think about what this lady's maid could do? You know that he's after that child.
Right.
You
that
know
too.
that he wants to marry. Why would he be doing that when he wants to marry the daughter?
That don't make sense.
So he's going to sleep with the mama's lady's maid.
And be publicly fraternizing with her.
And also, how do you know she even touched it? If you think touching the sleeve because they're of such a different rank, like they don't belong on the same planet, somebody can't touch your little slimy son's little sleeve of his coat. But even if you are that foolish, how do you know it even happened? Because you know the woman who works for you. You know what kind of character she has.
That's why I said, why do you even believe it? If you usually have a lady's maid who's somewhere around your age, and obviously Armstrong been in that house forever,
right?
Like they senior staff been there forever,
right?
Then you don't know Armstrong any better than that.
Yeah.
Like we said, conniving, even if you like her work and y'all comfortable and she knows your ways or whatever, she said this about your son.
Right.
On the heels of what just happened.
Right.
And you didn't think that, speaking of which though, I was going to say she had some kind of ulterior motive. What is the point other than just being nasty? Why did she even do that?
She likes to do cruel things. You've seen her do it before. She's used to acting like that. She got a little ugly mama who acted like that, and that's how she acts. That's how her mother treated her, and that's how she acts. Always just, venom. But yes, she saw her upset and thought, I'm gonna really upset. Even after she told her to
I
let
was
her
just about
go,
to say
when
that.
she was trying to get her out of the room
Just
because
about to say
she
that.
knew she couldn't hold herself together.
Yep.
Agnes felt herself falling apart.
Yep.
And had to just finally just scream at this woman to get out of her room
Because she
and
wanted
leave
to
her
see
alone. She wanted her to break down.
She wanted to make sure the collapse happened.
Yep.
And she got pleasure out of witnessing
it. She did. She enjoyed all of that.
This the scene right here. Y'all look at her face. She came up the steps, about to go out with a sour look. She saw Oscar and looking just...
Just ready.
But yep, so now Agnes just... Oh, she ain't sleep well that night.
Nope. Not at all.
And once again, all of this drama that's happened, my son being with a lady's maid, my butler serving those people across the street.
All of it is nothing.
Nothing. No. Marion was recounting it to Peggy.
Yeah.
And
like Custer's last stand.
Which also is some racist stuff.
Well, that's her thing.
I know, but I'm saying that's her reference. Screw Custer. She's saying it to... Peggy rolled her eyes ever so subtly when she said that Custer...
That subtle. She rolled them.
Subtle for Marion because Marion didn't see it. We saw it. And she was trying to still be supportive and understand. Well, maybe you can help her find her place in this new world. She was like, Marion, you ain't do nothing wrong. This is dumb. Whatever.
Right. And Peggy clueless too. The last thing Agnes wants is a place in this new world.
But Peggy, just like with the meeting, just like with all these other conversations that she overhears and witnesses, she recognizes, like us, that this is not important. Marion is supposed to be from the outside, but you was just upset as your auntie was.
Yeah.
You doing all this stuff. Bertha is doing all this stuff just to get in with the Mrs. Astor. Yep. That's it.
McAllister's her ticket. This is I'm gonna put on this show. He's gonna go back and tell her what I did about my gifts, about my dinner, about my palace, about my staff and my French cook and my she thought this is it.